shouldn't have listened.
My name is Aaron Cole. The place is Cabin 15 off Old Man's Cave Road, one of those short-term rentals that went dark after a fire code audit last month. Friday, about 2:40 a.m., I was doing a check for the property manager because the alarm panel kept throwing a tamper alert. It's shoulder season, no guests, no staff, just me and a boxy little cabin the color of wet bark. I'm the handyman. My buddy Dan was on the phone on and off because he hates that I do night checks. Service drops to one bar down there, and the road gate's locked after midnight. Here, my dashcam clip. You'll see the timestamp jump from 2:39 to 2:44 while the truck doesn't move a foot. I didn't scrub it, it just does that. And the audio, listen, 3 descending notes. I didn't whistle that. Nothing else on the road. I parked nose out on the crushed gravel. The cabin's got a front porch with 2 rocking chairs and a nailed-shut wood box where they used to keep lanterns for ambiance. The power was cut except for the panel and a single breaker for the well pump. I had a headlamp, a cheap tool bag, and one of those budget motion cams the manager insisted we stick to a porch post. Dan wanted a picture for the group chat, so I propped the phone at chest height, selfie style, cabin behind me. In the live photo, the porch light flares even though it's cut at the breaker. You can freeze the frames and see the filament go white, then dark, then white again, like breath on a mirror. I told myself residual power, or my headlamp reflected, or the camera bugged. The porch smelled like rain and something else. Paraffin, like candle wax. I figured it was old lantern fuel soaked into the wood. I keyed the panel through the window and got Zone 3, Exterior Utility, which means someone opened the storage bin under the porch. I crouched. The padlock hung there like a tongue, open. Neighbor kids, I told Dan. Probably took the old lanterns. I set the motion cam to arm, Cam Porch 15. The app named it that, not me. I went down the 3 steps to the muddy stretch where the propane tank sits. No footprints, just that heavy feeling you get when your brain preps for a dog to bark and nothing barks. The storage bin lid thumped, clear as a palm strike. I turned around and, look, the box that's been nailed shut for years, it wasn't nailed. It was propped open with a triangle of splintered wood. Inside, an old brass lantern, unlit, but hot. I didn't touch it. I felt it from a foot away, like a bathroom pipe when someone just ran a shower. The motion cam pinged. Motion detected, 2:53 a.m. I glanced at the preview tile. The porch chairs rocked, not together, one, then the other. Find My pinged next. I put an AirTag in the little generator weeks back after we had a theft. At 2:55 it said, moving with you. The generator was changed to the slab behind the cabin. It was not moving with me. I turned slowly, thinking, there's somebody on the porch with my bag, with my keys, with nothing, just my headlamp cone and wet wood. High, mid, low, closer. Same 3 notes, eerie, then more, pointed. Dan made a joke. 15 paces, he said. Go on. 15 paces toward it. I stepped off the porch. 1, 2. Rain ticked louder in the trees. 15 put me at the edge of the gravel, shoes in soft leaf rot. I lifted the headlamp and the beam hit a line of fog like breath held in a long glass bottle. The lantern in the bin glowed now, no flame, just a sheet of warm light inside its glass. It brightened as I raised my arm, dimmed when I lowered it, not matching me, countering me. "Induction," I said out loud. "Old Blass. My lamp cycles with it." Saying the dumbest thing in a confident tone was better than admitting I was wrong at 2 a.m. in the woods. The app chirped again. Face detected. It pasted a dotted box around empty porch air. The box slid, then multiplied, 2, 3 boxes, until the UI lagged. The AirTag descriptor flipped. Item left behind, then item moving with you. Back and forth without anything actually moving. "Dan, stay on," he said. "I'm here, also here, also." And then I heard him again, not on the phone, from the porch like a tape recorder. "I'm here." "No," I said. That line dropped. My screen showed the call had ended 40 seconds ago. I decided to loop the cabin once, down the left side, around the back, check the far window, come up the right. A clumsy security check to feel like I was doing something. I walked at a steady pace, counting steps. Tank, hose bib, boarded bathroom window. 8 minutes, maybe 10. I rounded the right side and hit the gravel again, and the truck hood was still beaded with fat raindrops. The porch chairs were mid-rock. The lantern glowed the same. My phone still said 2:53 a.m. Dan again from the porch. "I'm here." "No, that's not possible. We moved." The words felt like a switch. The lantern's glow drew in tight as a pupil. Air changes, colder. The warm paraffin smell turned metallic like a 9-volt touched to your tongue. 15, said a voice. Not Dan's, not mine, just out of the headlamp beam. 15. The motion cam posted a still to the cloud. I watched it upload on half a bar. I am in the frame, shoulders hunched, headlamp pointed at the bin. In the next push, a hand is on my shoulder. My shoulder dips, no one there with me. I bolted to the truck. The key fob refused, then accepted. Inside, false safety. The dashcam's red LED blinked too slow, then too fast. The AirTag ping. Item moving with you. Then, item left behind. Then, item moving with you. The lanterns. Reflection hung in the windshield like a car behind me that never overtook. I drove out. The gate stood open when I reached it. I didn't open it. The dashcam file stops just shy of the county road and restarts at my driveway, like the forest refused to be recorded. The porch cam, though, kept sending me frames all night. At 3:11 a.m., one last photo. My truck gone, the porch empty. The lantern burned out. Only the boxes around faces still flickered, stacking on nothing, like it was counting breaths. This morning, 10:02 a.m., my bathroom mirror fogged in a cold house. 3 descending lines cleared in the steam. 15. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening somewhere else. I'm Paige Larrabee, winter caretaker, 2nd season. The cabin sits 3 miles up an unplowed logging road the paper maps don't bother to show anymore. Stone base, tar paper walls, a warped porch with a view of nothing but hemlock. Last Tuesday, around 1:10 a.m., hard sleet. I had a sat phone lifeline to my brother Cal, who runs midnight dispatch for a pipeline outfit. I have a Polaroid that shouldn't exist. I wrote, "Outside storm," on the border. The shot shows me standing inside the cabin, framed by the doorway, sleet streaking behind me. I took it while I was outside. The cabin keeps a chain latch because the wood shifts and the deadbolt never lines up after the first freeze. That night, The chain kept sliding to full extension and stopping, metal on metal. No breeze. The door fit like a swollen tongue. The cast iron stove threw orange light. The CO detector chirped once every 30 seconds. Not a danger code, more like it was repeating a word in Morse I didn't know. Temperature changes nudge chains, I told myself. Vibration from sleet. I wedged a folded rag between latch and strike plate. The chain slid anyway, rag dragging along. My handheld radio, set to a forestry band, crackled with my own voice, 5 seconds late. Latch is sliding, I heard in my tone. Latch is sliding. The bar graph glowed like it was receiving from 3 feet away. I switched channels, same result. The Polaroid camera, my boredom hobby, ejected a shot while it was powered off, lens shut. It whirred from the shelf next to a stacked tin of peaches. The film developed to black, then gray, then me inside. The rhythm went from clumsy to delicate, like breathing into someone's hair. Cal said, "Don't do the brave thing for the story, do the boring thing." So, I did the boring thing. I snowshoed down the road to see if a vehicle had come up behind the trees. Narrow hallway of pine trunks. My headlamp made tunnels. My watch swore I walked 61 minutes. I counted telephone poles. There are none up there. But my head started inserting them into the dark like landmarks in a dream. I made my turn at a birch with lightning scars, a tree I know like a neighbor. I walked home, thinking of hot tea and the CO chirp and how stale the peaches would be. I came around the last bend and stopped. My own tracks were coming toward me, not away, fresh, edges sharp. Then they split and went past on either side like I'd been walked around. I kept my mouth shut as long as I could. Then it came out. "No, that's not possible. We moved." The trees brought my words back flat. The door stood open, chain extended tight, latch ring bending with a soft metallic cry. Inside, stove still hot. The Polaroid camera spat a photo. Another. The third picture showed Cal in my chair, hands around his coffee mug, bleary graveyard eyes. He was at work 200 miles away. He texted me a picture of his desk clock, 1:37 a.m. The Polaroid's wall clock behind him read 1:37 too. I eased the door shut and lifted the chain to seat it. It jumped in my hand like a pulse. The radio coughed my voice again, "Do the boring thing," then coughed a word I didn't say. "Closer." The CO detector stopped chirping. Then it chirped 3 times quick. Chirp, 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 then silence, then one long tone. Evacuate. I grabbed the camera, the radio, nothing else. The chain slid to the end of its track and held me like a dog leash. I breathed through my teeth, slid it back, and stepped into the sleet. The door slammed hard enough to shake frost off the eaves. Under the porch overhang, the radio cleared like a throat, and Cal said, "Live now." "Paige? You cut out, you got quiet." I said, "Say something I wouldn't say so I know it's you." He laughed. "Pineapple on pizza is fine. It's our dumb code." I exhaled. We counted to 60 together. We made a plan. I'd hike to the line shack at the Y junction where the signal improves. The chain rattled a goodbye, sweet as jewelry. The Polaroid camera ejected one last shot in my backpack. I didn't look. I hiked. Sleet softened to needles. At the Y junction, the world expanded a half inch. In the line shack, I finally checked the Polaroid. Cal again, in my chair, but this time his eyes looked past the camera, upper left, where the chain hangs. Behind his shoulder, the chain was taut, extended, holding the door just shy of shut. The dot code on the film edge matches the minute I was outside, holding the chain, feeling it tug back. Cal messaged later that he had a headache at the exact minute I left, tight ring around his temples. His office door chain, yes, his office has one, slid across its slot twice, slow. He says he heard my sat phone voice in the room with him, 5 seconds late. I'm not going back this week. The roads are slush, that's my official excuse. The real one is simple. Chains are meant to keep what's inside in, and it wanted out. It knows my name in the slide of links. When I close my eyes, I hear it counting me. Chain rattle, delicate, close. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening somewhere else. Micah and I are seasonal rangers. I'm Lena. Sunday, 3:22 a.m. Place, a decommissioned spur named Alder 9, blocked by boulders the size of refrigerators and signed No Access Restoration Area. A mudslide took out the only easy egress last year. We were up there because the station printer spat a recreation permit for Research Cabin Alder 9. Paid in full, signature squiggle. There is no research cabin on Alder 9. I know that road. Its switchbacks, its culverts, the way elk scuff the duff. We brought a drone, body cams, and high-vis that makes you feel brave. The night was a wet felt hat on our ears. My GPS breadcrumb showed a clean loop up and back. Micah's drew a figure 8 that crossed the river twice where there's only one bridge. The drone feed at 3:41 showed us from behind, both of us, backs hunched, headlamps haloing. The drone was in front of us. Lens flip glitch, GPS drift under canopy. I said the phrases like tourniquets. Then the tapping started, like a wedding ring on a guardrail. Tap, 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 tap. Thin and far at first. We followed it up 2 switchbacks to a flat. The permit pin put the cabin 50 yards east. The trees there were second growth alder, all the same thickness, too young to have hosted a roof. We found a foundation anyway. Knee-high stones in a rectangle, mossed, half caved like a mouth missing teeth. Micah grinned. Guess there was a cabin. His grin fell quick. The drone panned down and we watched our own heads tilt toward a window that wasn't there. The lantern glow filtered through trunks to our right, more a tone of light than a shape. Hang back, Micah said. No contact, I said. The tapping shifted toward us, now intimate. Call and answer between 2 pieces of metal. Tap, tap, closer. Body cam time codes matched until his radio said, "You're clear," and the timestamp on my copy leapt backward 3 minutes before jittering forward. Micah swore he didn't say it. He plays jokes. This didn't have his fingerprints. We reached the foundation's door. The drone showed it as a door, lintel and all. Our eyes saw air. Rain intensified like being walked toward with a bucket. I stuck my hand where the threshold would be and my wrist hair flattened as if heat pressed from inside. The drone feed snowed out. When it returned, we were both in frame, inside, lantern glow painting the walls we couldn't see. We backed out, stepped sideways, decided to descend to the boulders, call it, lock the gate. Downhill is easy, muscle memory. We walked for 1 hour, my watch, not my estimation. We passed a cut log with a burl, I remember. We passed it again. Micah said, "Not light." No, that's not possible. We moved. My tongue tasted like a 9-volt. The tapping landed on my shoulder. Not a touch, a sound placed there. Tap. The road behind filled, not with light, but with the shadow you get when something bright moves in front of a darker thing. The drone started to descend on its own, and in the feed, the cabin had a door number. 404. Cute, I know. Except it was stenciled in park paint. Micah leaned toward the empty doorway. Who signed the permit? My radio answered in my voice delayed. You did. Then Micah's radio said it. Then the drone speaker squeaked it. You did. In my head, it wasn't me. We ran. The road opened onto the boulders and the gate. Someone had swung it inward. We hadn't. My key was still clipped. The lock hung by a single loop like a tooth. The station printer ran all night. When we came in, it had spat variations of the same permit. Cabin name cycling. Alder 9, Alder 404, Cabin 616, Shack 2B. The runtime line on each changed. 2011, 2400, 322. Like an itinerary. The drone's SD card shows formation.mp4 timestamped tomorrow. The final frame is a still of us sitting on the station couch, clothes steaming, watching the printer spit. The tapping follows me. It started in my apartment, the baseboard heater, the oven rack. Tap, tap, tap. It doesn't want me to answer it with anything but a ring finger. I don't wear one. It taps anyway. And there's a smell in my coat I can't launder out. Wet sawdust with a sweet that isn't sugar. If you hold your breath, you can hear rain on a roof that isn't over you. I don't think the cabin exists. I think the idea of it does. And our park paint knows how to say yes. This doesn't end here. Something else was happening somewhere else. I'm Nate Ducharme. Family's got a sugar house we only fire in March. But the building's a cabin by any other name. Rough pine, cupola vents, a door that sticks unless you hip it. Last Wednesday, about 2:17 a.m., off-season, lines dry, tank empty. The trail down to it rutted and slick with maple leaves. My brother Joe texted earlier that he heard the fire siren that isn't there anymore. We keep a CO detector on the wall after a scare 2 years ago. Battery's good. The house sits low by the creek. You can smell the iron when it runs shallow. I set my phone to time-lapse before I left the truck because the fog had settled in 2 layers like a cake. Clear at my knees, white at my chest. 8 minutes compressed to 10 seconds. You see me walk down with a headlamp. You see me open the door. What doesn't change is the smoke pillar rising straight out of the cupola. Night to morning, no drift, no thinning. I didn't light anything. The evaporator was bone cold. The door stuck. Inside is a place I know by muscle memory. Sap arch, preheater flues, the window clouded with sugar film that never fully scrubs. The smell was there. Sweet burnt, not caramel. Something older in your teeth. Except nothing hummed. The CO detector chirped, a single chirp every minute, then a pause, then 3, then a long, spelling something in a rhythm I couldn't parse. I took it down. It kept chirping in my hand like the wall was still behind it. I flipped to the thermal camera on my phone case. The evaporator pan showed deep blue, cold, except for 5 ovals on the lip. Perfect, side by side, hand-sized. Not warm, colder than everything. Like touch stole heat. Temperature stratification, I told myself. Lingering sugar smoke in the wood. I put my hand where the cold prints sat. It felt like pressing your palm to a bag of frozen peas through cloth. The cupola vents rattled. Sweetness climbed the back of my throat until it hurt. Then a phrase, faint at first. "Come check the pan." It carried like steam, then pressed like breath on my ear. "Come check the pan." I FaceTimed Joe for the stupid herd safety of it. He answered at work, fluorescent behind him. "You there?" he said, then blinked slow. His eyes watered like the sugarhouse air reached into his office and salted him. "I can smell it," he said, and the connection clipped. My phone logged a missed call from me to him at the same minute we were talking. I decided I was being suggestible. I took the tractor, yes, the dumb, brave thing, down the loop road to clear my head. Low gear, circled the lower meadow, came up the stone wall side to the back of the sugar house. The ride took me past the same ash stump with the quartered punky heart. Past it again. Again. The engine note changed not with slope, but with a thickness. When I finally cut the key, I was idling exactly where I started, the tractor facing the door like a dog wanting in. No, that's not possible. We moved. The cupola exhaled once, hard enough to pop the eaves. I pushed into the sugar house. The phrase came from under the evaporator now, not the door. "Come check the pan." I lifted the pan corner because of course I did. You learn nothing if you never touch. Underneath was a dry plate. Frost bloomed in veins across it, a dendrite handwriting that spelled nothing. The thermal app showed the frost climbing the metal against gravity. I heard a second voice, Joe's, behind me. "Nate, don't." I turned. Joe stood in the doorway, soaked to the bone, hair dripping on the sill. "I just walked in," he said, though his boots left no water. He repeated flat. "I just walked in." Then again, same rhythm. "Joe," I said, heavy. He looked at me like you look through a windshield at a deer. He said, "Come check the pan," in the old-timer voice. The CO detector in my hand screamed, sustained tone. I dropped it. It kept going from the floor. The cupola smoke didn't bend in the draft. It hung straight like a rod. I backed toward the door, hip-checked it open, and he didn't follow. He stood there until the phrase wore thin like tape losing magnet. I slammed the truck doors in twos, like that helps. The time-lapse finished itself. It shows me behind the wheel, hand on the radio mic, talking to no one. It shows a second me walking up to the sugar house door and pausing like I'm listening. At 3:11 a.m., I know that time means something to other folks too. The cupola smoke in the video stutters like a flicker book, then snaps still again. Dawn rises around a column that never disperses. Joe texted me from work at 4:02 a.m. Wet. He sent a selfie, shirt soaked. His office has no sink. He says the smell has followed him home 3 nights, sweet, metallic. The phrase bled into his file naming. He sent a spreadsheet titled, "Come check the pan.xlsx" without noticing. At my house, my bathroom mirror fogged after a cold shower. Someone drew a rectangle at the top like a cupola vent and 5 ovals along the bottom in negative cold. If you whistle through your teeth over the kitchen sink, the sound turns into steam that doesn't move. I survived because it let me. Because a building that exists for a season decided I wasn't the season. When sugaring starts, it will breathe in someone else and ask them to check the pan, and they will, because you always check the pan.